Okay, we are back. We are back, and Mr. Billy S is my guest today, and I'm having a good conversation with him. And what were you just saying? You just gotta.
Yeah, I just got a text from Coco, Dave Mercer and myself, and I've got a bunch of new songs. He played with me last year, and Joe Bone at
That's right.
Arts
That's
in the
right.
Heart. And so some of those same songs and some newer songs. I've got some really neat new songs. We were recording with Alex Bruce, who played in anyway, many area bands.
Right,
Yes,
right.
He's quite a good bass player. Anyway, Chris Hardy, who I love his music, and I played drums with him a little bit at Arts in the Heart last year, and that was really a blast.
I love Chris's music too.
Oh, and to play drums for him. 'Cause I'm not a drummer, but he makes these parts that are so much fun, and to get to do that anyway. But anyway, he's recording. I love his sound that he gets from his drum mix and stuff. So he was going to help me record some of these new songs. And so we actually went and did some basic stuff in the old Commerce Building in the middle of Broad Street.
Oh,
that concrete and
yeah.
glass room.
Uh-huh.
And I had Dave Mercer in there breaking his drum. And I mean, it's a drum sound like you go, oh yeah, what is this? You know, just because it commands your attention.
Right. Yeah.
And so we got some good things there. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to use that, but we are. So anyway, I'm trying to still keep that live sound, and so Coco may let us come over to Sky City and do some tracks in there.
That's what's up. Hell yeah.
Because I need that for these new songs. It's such a live sound.
Yeah.
That
yeah, absolutely.
We've done some other tracks in a room, and this is a sweet room. You know, this is a big enough room, but what I like about Dave is he's such an accomplished drummer, and then for my songs, he makes up these great fun parts, and you know, it's just
Dave's an accomplished musician. Period.
I mean, he can sing and play guitar.
Yeah.
Like you would have him out front instead of me singing and playing guitar. He should sing and play my songs for me. But he's such a good drummer, and nobody can play like that.
He's hell on keyboards too.
He really is.
It's crazy.
And it's just that's why it's a pleasure for me to have him play drums. I feel, honored.
Right, yeah,
that a guy of those other talents would come and play boom pa for me.
Oh man, fun in the studio. So, anyway, sorry about that.
Sorry, a truck ran into the side of the studio wall. And
kabam!
Yeah, trying to patch
I haven't
that
seen
up.
Dave in a while, man.
He moved to Aiken. That's probably why, and he's been playing a bunch of music up there, and he almost plays like every night.
Really?
He's playing with all kind of cats. That's what I like too, though, is that whenever he comes to jam with me, he's a guy who's been seasoned all week, and the week before that playing with different guys, and like his chops are up, and that's what you like instead of a guy that might be sitting around playing video games all day.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I enjoy people that take action. And
yeah, he's an action taker.
Yeah, and
he's there on time.
It's like you're not going to get. The secret is positive thinking, but it's coupled with action.
You got to do stuff.
You got to put that stuff out there.
Well, I've even learned as an artist that the paintings don't paint themselves, and the songs don't get recorded. You can have a great song, and if nobody ever hears it, it's not necessarily a great song. Nobody can vouch for it.
Only these past few years have I really grabbed the bull by the horn, so to say, with my music, because I'd been so nonchalant, and I'm content with playing little dive bars or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, I do want my music to be heard by a lot more people than has heard it. So, these past few years I've been working on pushing things a little bit more and getting things more professional, and so.
Well, I think, too, if you've got a song in your head, or if it comes out of your heart or out of your body, it's sent from somewhere. So I think it's our goal to put it out there. And that's another thing, too, where the art has come in. I had a friend of mine who took art at Augusta College, which is now whatever it is.
Augusta State University.
Yeah. And but the professor there said, you can't, your job is not to just get to do art. He said, you need to to do your art and another piece and then put those in front of people.
Right.
Not just put them behind your couch. Your duty, if you're a creator, is to make your art and put it in front of somebody.
Yeah.
And if they hate it, then you made a point. If they love it, you made another point. But if it makes an emotion, whether they love it or hate it or can't live without it, or it makes them cry or laugh, then you've made what art was supposed to make. You made that reaction.
Absolutely.
And for a song to do that, though, I think a song can do it all up in you, in your soul and in your mind, and it's more intimate, I think.
Yeah, it's for a long time I didn't realize how powerful it can be because if you do move someone to tears or move a crowd to tears playing or singing a song, and you're in your state of mind, you're not realizing the effect it has on them as you're doing it. Right. And then also I've had another person just recently was asking me why I love to play live. Like, why don't I just constantly record and
right.
and I'm like, well, playing live is a I read Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now.
Okay.
Being in the moment.
Right.
And for me, I've been constantly working on that these past few years, staying in the moment and living for the now. And so but I realized the reason that I loved playing live so much, or I love playing live so much, is because that is one of those things that I do that keeps me completely in that moment right then.
And it's divine.
Yeah, and I'm not thinking about 5 minutes ago. I'm not thinking about 5 minutes from now. It's all
it's totally
right
now.
There. Yeah.
And it's funny too, and you probably would agree, a lot of times you can be on stage doing it, singing, playing, and observing it almost as a third person. Mm-hmm. Looking around and going like, wow, I'm doing this. And look at these people. And look at my band. And it can be a real otherworldly experience.
People think I'm full of shit when I tell them I've had out-of-body experiences on stage. And I've actually stood beside myself and said, I can't believe I'm fucking doing that shit right now. Because it's not, I think for a lot of musicians especially, or any type of artist that when you're like an antenna, you're a channel, you're channeling something.
A good word. Yeah.
And John Lennon said that. He in an interview, somebody asked him, how do you feel about being one of the most famous songwriters, ever walk the face of the planet? And he's like, I never wrote a song in my life, love.
Right.
It all just came through.
We write whatever comes out, what we're given.
And I was like,
I felt that way.
That's genius.
Yeah.
That's genius. Don't take credit for all that beautiful work you did.
Right. They did write all the songs, and then we all copied them and chopped them up and made our own songs.
Yeah, pretty much. Somebody was telling me there's only like 13 true original melodies.
That's probably true.
And that 2 of them are Beatles melodies.
We only get 7 notes.
Yeah.
Right.
And they said 2 of them are Beatles songs.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Like, that's pretty intense.
Yeah. Well, I think too, George Martin really knew so much.
Well, his classical background probably lent
choirs,
so much
orchestras,
to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what made it happen. It seems like.
Yeah.
But of course, they knew what they were doing.
It's like I was telling you that I'm loving George Michael's comeback. His latest album is beautiful.
And all new stuff.
Yeah, it's all new stuff. And the producer that he did this last album with, he actually passed in 2013. Oh man, I'm killing myself because I'm forgetting this right now. But anyway, he produced everyone from Frank Sinatra to Aretha Franklin.
Oh, that'd be a big gig.
Yeah, so you're...
I would trust him to mix.
Yeah. I would trust him to tell me, go high here, go low here,
Right.
So he was honored to you have a producer like that working with him and be willing to work with him, because that's the type of producer he could just turn down anybody he wanted to. If he wants to work with you, he will.
Yeah.
Have you had very much experience in the studio with producers or anything like that?
Well, now, my first things, I really would often, I guess when I first started, I really was at the mercy of the recording engineer. And then I realized that what I'm hearing in my head is the production. I'm the producer.
Yes,
I already know the parts. And nowadays, when I write a song, I know all the parts. Like I've got the piano part in my head and the bass part and the drums. And, you want a guy like Dave to interpret that drum kit, that drum beat or whatever. But, I think I hear it all.
It's like JB said, God gave you the ear, man.
Yeah, and now what's funny about Mr. Brown is I used to work sound, and back when I worked at Jay's, I would get the sound system, take it over to Studio South. They'd show up in their bus to rehearse. So the band would go in there, and I'd set up the sound. So I'm sitting in there with Mr. Brown's band.
That's awesome.
They'd all do their thing, and so then he'd show up a couple hours later, and they'd be in there, and they'd be doing their thing, and to get to see that, but he did it all by sounds.
Yeah.
He would point to the guy.
I want you to do this.
That was one of the great things about Keith Jenkins is. Yeah, he'd say, guitar go like, ching, 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 ching. And then Keith Jenkins would go, okay, ching, 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 ching. And that's why Mr. Brown would take Keith Jenkins everywhere.
Yep.
And he's a genius still.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember Mr. Brown would tell the guy, just like Michael Jackson, it'd be a sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the guy would have to interpret that. And what was funny, too, one time I set up for them to rehearse at the Imperial. Nobody's in there, but their sound system and just monitors.
Yeah.
And so they're in there rehearsing, and their drummer. Why can't I say his name right now anyway? But now he's doing different things. He was doing this beat perfect. Mr. Brown said, no, and I forget what he said. I think he might have said son,
Yeah.
No, son. It goes like,
Yeah.
And you go like, what did he say?
Yeah.
So, okay. Anyway, he got back there on the kit, and he was going to show him. He got kind of comfortable. He tried to do that beat. He couldn't do it the way he said it, and it wasn't as good as the real drummer already doing it.
Right.
So then he finally got up. Nobody said nothing. Went back there and sang, and drummer went down and did what he had already done perfectly, but Mr. Brown was hearing it somehow different. But
yeah, I'd imagine there was probably a lot of moments like that with JB.
Well, and it was so cool to be the little guy in the corner watching it. I wish that I would have filmed it all, but I'm sure I would have been scowled at. But
man, I was with my ex-wife one time. We were walking down Broad Street, and at the time he had a rehearsal studio right there on Broad, and we were walking down, and I'd partied with his manager many a times, his personal manager, and so walking down, his personal manager standing there with him, and they're walking. His bodyguard's unlocking the door, and he's having trouble unlocking the door. I get really close to him. I get my balls up, and I go, "I got that feeling, baby, I got that feeling."
With some,
I was
diaphragm,
I was dancing,
sure.
and he's like, he looked at me. They got the door open. He looked at me. He laughed, and he said, "He trying to be me. He ain't me," and walked in the door. And to this day, I'll put that as a blurb on my posters.
That's nice. Well,
James Brown said that to me.
Well, and what's funny too, remember we were doing the concert and Darius Rucker walks up to you at backstage, and I love all this.
Yeah.
Or he said something.
He's like, all this you got going on right here? I like it.
Yeah, all this you got going on, I like it. To everybody standing there, he walks up to you.
All the backstage, all the stage hands looked at me like,
20, 30 guys. Yeah, he walked straight up to you, yeah. Darius knows a rock star.
Yeah, that's right.
Fellow rock star.
He's like, I can tell you a good man. We're going to take a quick pause, and I want to thank Tracer Audio for sponsoring us, and Butch Palmer Salon for sponsoring us. Y'all go down to see Butch Palmer in Harrisburg on Crawford Avenue. Tell him Happy Bones sent you. We'll see y'all in a second.
Life real nice, I'm raising little kids, get a motion until it pays well with benefit. No question, what things is, well, you need to be a decent citizen, good American, buy your happiness, believe for living. Tell me how you want it, I'll give it to you. like tears, so I wipe them clean. You're my the woods in the night at the